Hi, and welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where today, I jotted down 5 things that I really love about this car, this GV60, and then 5 things that I really don't like so much about this car. Hate is maybe a strong word, but let's call it hate, okay? And then I thought about what are some of the suggestions that I have to the Genesis folks to maybe make some changes about this car. So this will be a relatively quick video today, but why not take a drive with me? Let's go along and have some fun, and welcome again to another Out of Spec Dave video. Okay, so with the crystal ball in the right position, which I'm not even going to mention the crystal ball because I love the crystal ball. Everyone knows I love the crystal ball. Everyone knows my wife Kathy loves the crystal ball. I'm going to get a little deeper than that, and I'm going to start with the things that I really do admire and like about this car quite a bit. The first is really, I don't know if you call it an intangible, but it's the build quality. This car is next level. Now, I spent a lot of time in the Ioniq 5. Great car, loved it. The materials inside that car were great, no complaints. It was a quiet car. And sometimes it's as if you don't really know what you're missing until you find something better. It's little things, and the build quality in terms of the interior, the material choices that they use, just the glass itself, the sound cabin, everything is very quiet in this car. And I find that to be, just like I said, it is next level. I guess that's the best way to describe it. The second thing is, this car is fast. I'm not sure if you saw my recent video where I did a 0 to 60 in the boost mode, and I pulled 3.86 seconds 0 to 60. Again, this is on just regular all-season tires, nothing special here. And it throws you back. It's like, wow, you really get going in this car. I ran a few more 0 to 60s in different modes and went back to the sport mode with the boost, and again it replicated that 0 to 60 in 3.88 seconds after doing some launches all around a 80% state of charge. So it's fast, but it's also very easy to live with. This car is easy to get in and out of. It's not super high, it's not super low. It just kind of fits your daily driving. Integration of all the electronics, the apps themselves are excellent. There's no lag time in terms of when you're scrolling through the screens. CarPlay, I'm going to talk a little bit about CarPlay. The good thing about CarPlay is it works great. And it's seamless, and all my apps are great. The screen is very clear to the eye, so I'm very pleased with how all of the technology is really working on this car, and the interface to the car as far as the HVAC goes. I love the paddles. I think I've mentioned that for the regen in this car many times. So all of that is really good. There is a feature on this app that I did not know existed, and I do not believe it existed on the Ioniq 5. And what that feature is you can actually, up to 3 times an hour, you can request a surround view of the cameras, a snapshot. So I think 5 or 6 different pictures of what's around your car at any moment in time. You just go onto the app and you can click on a button, and then the 5 or 6 pictures will reveal themselves, which I think is really a nice feature. It's not quite as good as what Tesla has, but that's okay. It's definitely a step in the right direction. Now, what's very interesting is that when you lock the car, if you actually close the mirrors down, the mirrors fold in as well, the app will ask you, is it okay if you use this surround view, surround view camera, that it will actually open the mirrors? It's amazing because it's saying that as a courtesy, because what if you park next to a pillar? Oh wait, I remember I parked next to that pillar in my office building this morning. No, I don't want to do that. I was driving on the Merritt Parkway, and there's a tunnel when you get up towards 91, And all of a sudden, about a half a mile before the tunnel, the car tells me, hey, listen, you know, we're shutting off the outside air. And then when it went through the tunnel, it turned the outside air back on. And someone thought about this. Sometimes in tunnels, it kind of smells in there with all the exhaust. So really smart integration. The seat itself, the Ergo seat, I did figure out how to turn it on. It's actually quite simple to turn on. But you know, again, if you don't have it on and you're on a long trip, after about 45-50 minutes, it goes on automatically to kind of keep you awake. So those are some of the interesting things that I've found that I really love about this car. Again, I loved my Ioniq 5. I know this is my wife's car, but it's a really nice place to spend time. All right, let's shift gears and let's talk about some of the things that annoy me, or some of the things that I maybe hate about this car. I will tell you, I hate the fact that Genesis advertised that this car would have plug and charge, and it doesn't, and it doesn't work. You know, look, when you have a Tesla, you pull up to a supercharger, you plug in, it just works, and it works every single time. So with this car, you have to open up the app. In my case, I typically go to DC fast charging at Electrify America, and you have to open up the app. You have to figure out which one of the 8 different stations you're at, and you have to. It's a kind of a pain. But the reality is that I thought I was going to get plug and charge, and I don't. And I really want plug and charge. And I think if nothing else, Electrify America and Genesis, they should make it work. Maybe not for every single DC network that's out there, because I know it's a lot to do that. But you know, having a little asterisk in the ad and say that it works and it doesn't, I don't like that. The second thing is, I was very disappointed this car did not have HDA2. HDA2 is the Hyundai or Highway Driver's Assistance. And what I would say is I like to call it Hyundai Driver Assistance because it's not just for the highway. It eliminates the ability to do automatic lane changes. Everyone knows that. HDA versus HDA2. The big difference is you can't turn on your signal and it won't take the lane. To be honest, that doesn't really bother me that much because I sort of like to drive the car. I want to change the lane when I want to change the lane. But the thing is, you lose. Well, you also have scooch, right? Well, I've talked about that, but you know, if you're going down the lane, let's say it's a 2-lane highway, you got an 18-wheeler on your right, and the car kind of gets vacuum sucked in towards the truck. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. It doesn't matter if it's electric or if it's a gas or diesel. If you have any kind of ADAS system where you're doing lane, lane centering and adaptive cruise, the car kind of gets sucked in towards the truck. And HDA2 actually has functionality where it'll push the car over to the left, further away from the truck. And I did experience that a little bit in my Ioniq 5, which, believe it or not, that had HDA2. Both the SEL and the limited versions of the Ioniq 5, which are less expensive cars, have that. But I guess Genesis just ran out of the radar sensors up front. And the reason why I don't like to call it Highway Driver's Assistance 2 is because you don't get the radar sensors up front for cross-traffic alert. So if you've backed into a spot, a parking spot, and you're ready to pull out, you're not going to be getting that cross-traffic alert with the braking and all of that, and where the wheel actually vibrates. You will get that to the rear, and that thing saved me one day, like big time saved me. But you don't have it in the front, and so that makes me angry. I did call Hyundai. I did call Genesis before we actually took the plunge on buying this car, and I asked them, is this going to be able to be retrofitted? I understand there's tough things, the parts are tough to get, supply chain is an issue, but you know, at least design it so you can have it retrofitted. And I was told no, so that was a little bit upsetting to me. The massage seat, love the massage seat. It's great. They call it the Ergo massage seat. It's not the best massaging seat in the world, but it's actually quite good. It gives you 3 different choices and all that, but it's only in the driver's side. Now, that's great for Kathy, my wife, when she's driving, commuting to work, which is what she's doing. But if we ever were going to take a road trip in this car, guess who's driving? I mean, Kathy's not. I'm pointing over here. She's not even here. I got Bailey with me here, my little pup, out for a ride. But, you know, Kathy's not going to have a massaging seat on the passenger side. But you think about the ID4 that I had, the top trim Volkswagen ID4, it had massaging seats on both sides. So Genesis, you know what? Just give us 2 seats with our massaging. Range. I wish the car had 300 miles of range, EPA, let's just say. I know this car is the performance model. I know it's got massive, you know, well, 160 kilowatt motor up front, same as in the rear. It is fast, but the trade-off with having 21-inch wheels on the performance model is the range suffers. I wish it had an extra 50 miles of range. You know, this thing's 70 grand, and that extra 50 miles of range can come in handy, not on the daily driving, but on the road trip. The last thing I do want to talk about, actually second to last thing, I lied, is the face recognition. When you go, so the other day, I forgot my key. I drove to work, and I parked the car and got out, and I was like, oh, I don't have my key with me. No problem. I've got the face recognition. Now, it's relatively dark in my parking garage, and this is the second time this has happened to me. So here I am, bent over, looking at this face recognition little camera on the B-pillar, and this woman walks by, and it's like, she sees me, like, she thinks I'm peeking in the windows, like ready to steal something out of the car, and she was about to say something to me, and I said, oh ma'am, yeah, I'm okay, this is my car, I'm just checking something out. I didn't want to get into, you know, into the fact that this car has, you know, next level face generation or face recognition software, but the thing didn't work. And so, you know, have you ever had those cars that where if you kick your feet in the back of the car, and it opens up the rear hatch, right? And you sit there and you kick and it's like the most exercise you get all day, and the thing doesn't work. Well, so this is kind of what was going on with me with this woman. She was laughing, but so what do? I take my cell phone out, and I shine the cell phone like under my face, and there it goes, and it turns on. So look, you know, I hate may be a strong word, but these are some of the things, little things that are kind of annoying to me. One last thing that I did mention, I had another thing. The one pedal driving, what I would like is if I leave the car in mode 3, I want it to come back on in mode 3 when I start the car up again. If I leave the car in I-pedal driving or one pedal driving, then I want the car to start up in I-pedal next time, and it doesn't do that. It goes back to whether you're in 3, 2, or 1 or 0, and I just wish it would start up in I-pedal each time. So that's that. Now, things that I think can be improved in this car. The iPhone integration to unlock the car. So this was a big disappointment for me when, you'll remember when I took delivery of the car at Genesis of Fairfield, and I was unable to get the car to be able to use the iPhone to unlock the car. It uses some proximity, some kind of proximity technology, and it was brand new for this car. It had the second version of this, you know, using your phone. It only worked with Android before. Now all of a sudden it worked with the iPhone, and we couldn't get it to work. I went back the next week with Tim. He tried. We were on the phone with Genesis for over an hour. Couldn't get that to work either during that time. So that was a little bit disappointing. I've seen on the blogs that people are getting it to work, and so I'm going to try it out again. And that plus the key card, we couldn't get to work. So I think they need to, if they're going to deliver a car, just make sure the technology works when it delivers. Another suggestion is there's a button down here which is auto hold. and the auto hold button, when it's used in conjunction with iPedal, I think is a little bit very, if you're in close quarters, let's say you're pulling into your garage and you're in iPedal and you have auto hold button on, which is right by where all the heated seats and cooled seats and the parking cameras are. If you're not careful and you've got this auto hold on when you also have iPedal on, the thing can jump, it can lunge out. And even if you're careful on the throttle, you got to remember these cars have tremendous amount of torque. So I would caution about using that iPedal with the auto hold function, which is really designed to keep you on a, you know, not rolling back on a hill or something like that. It's a great function to have, but I would just be careful about that. I think that Genesis needs to tune the auto hold button a little bit. It needs a little bit of fine tuning. The home screen. What's interesting about the home screen is it comes up to basically, I don't know if it's like, it shows you what the weather is. It looks like it's kind of cloudy and stormy here, but there's no functionality other than the town I'm in, the temperature outside, the date and the time, and Sirius XM is off. And there's this huge screen there with nothing on it. And then what you got to do is you got to scroll across and then go to all the different other screens. I think they could actually jazz up that front screen a little bit, and I think that would be good. The heads-up display, excellent. I love it. Great data, but I can't quite seem to angle it so that it's straight for me. I have to put it all the way to the left, -5, whatever that is. And heighten is fine. But what's strange is you see the roof or the hood line slopes away. And then the HUD, the heads-up display, is, I'm trying to see, should I have it aligned to the hood or should I have it aligned to the level horizon line? And it doesn't quite give me enough the ability to change the angle enough to where I really want to have it. I know this is a small thing, but Hyundai, when you bring out a car, you should also bring out rubber mats for the car. I went out to Walmart and bought these cheap mats just because this car's got white carpeting or cream colored carpeting, and the rubber mats are still not available. And we've had the car now for about a month. And so I don't know when they're going to be available, but you know, let's bring them out. The rear seats, I think you should improve the fact that if you're putting stuff into the back of the trunk on the hatch, there's no way to fold down the rear seats unless you come around to the side doors and then go ahead and release the seats and lower them. I think that you could add some sort of a button or a switch, a mechanism to lower the seats from the back. You know, in the Hyundai Ioniq 5, you could actually angle the seats in the rear, back, or front, which was great. You could do the same in this car, but in the Ioniq 5, you could actually go back and forth. They were on a slider as well. This car, it's not. It'd be nice if you could do that. I know it's probably, this wheelbase is about 5 inches shorter than the Ioniq 5, so there may not be room to do that, which I understand. But if you can, I would love that as a feature. Now let's talk about CarPlay. I know that a lot of people they say, oh, it doesn't have wireless CarPlay, and it doesn't. And the honest truth, that doesn't bother me. You see, the phone connects up to the car via Bluetooth. So if you want to play, if you want to do a phone call, or if you want to play music off your phone Bluetooth wise, you can do that. But you have to connect up via the wire for CarPlay. The reason why I don't think that's a big deal is because I tend to use CarPlay on trips. I'm sorry, Waze on trips, which is part of CarPlay, which I love. And Waze chows down on the iPhone's battery big time. And so if you were just to use the wireless CarPlay, then you would actually you would eat through your battery, which then I know someone's going to say, yeah, but Dave, this car has a wireless charger, which it does. But the thing about this wireless charger is when I put my phone on there, the phone heats up like a hot brick on a fire. and I'm not going to say that it shut my phone down, but I couldn't believe how warm my phone got. And one thing, do not ever plug your phone into the wire and also go onto the wireless pad. I'm not sure if they have the smarts to know that, you know, if your phone is plugged in, also don't take wireless charger. Maybe the iPhone realizes take one or the other, but I wouldn't fool around with that. I would be kind of careful about that. No rear wiper. Everyone talks about no rear wiper. You know what? It's not that big a deal, but it would be nice to have that. The other thing is that I wouldn't change the design of this car, not even one piece or one bit. But the rear spoiler in the back of the car, it definitely, it's the height of the back of the seats. It's the 3 headrests in the back that really kind of limit your visibility out the back. And then when you add in this rear spoiler that has a piece of glass below it, sort of like the old Priuses, for those of you like the Gen 3 Priuses. Not terrible, but my suggestion is make the rear view mirror digital and have a camera so that you've got a full view. And if you do that, if you make it digital, make it so that it works digital, or you can actually use the mirror, because not everyone can get used to the digital mirror. Because if I go over here with the digital mirror, nothing changes. If I go over here with the digital mirror, nothing changes. But you can kind of glimpse around with a regular glass mirror. And so I'm not suggesting it's the end-all solution, but I think that a digital mirror in this car would be a nice add. Overall, extremely happy with this car. I think the build quality, like I mentioned before, the material choices that they have in this car, I would highly recommend considering this car over any of the other EGMP platforms if you like the style. I think it's worth the extra money. I also just want to point out that it is definitely much more premium. It's an extremely limited supply. The GV60 is only available right now currently in the United States in 4 states, California, New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York. And if you can find one, good luck. I would grab it if you can. You wouldn't necessarily, I don't think you have to go for the performance. The advanced, I'm sure, is plenty fast. But, you know, the thing about the Ioniq 5 is you're starting to see a lot of them on the roads. I don't know if you've noticed. And I love seeing that. But, you know, the price point on a rear-wheel drive SE Ioniq 5 or a base model, you know, and now they're coming out with the smaller battery pack ones as well. There's significantly less money than the Genesis GV60. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for that little extra, you know, that little extra dose of classiness or premium, the Genesis is the way to go. It has everything that's good about the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, and it makes it better. So let's leave it there. Thanks again very much for watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave, and we'll catch you on the next one.